inside Collins Bowling Center, Eastland, for the finals of the PWBA Lady Ebonite Kentucky Classic. Hello everyone, I'm Jan Schmidt and I'm glad you joined us. We're in week 11 of the PWBA season, and tonight you'll see 5 athletes that each have their own special reason for wanting this victory. And those finalists are: in the number 5 position, the Lady Ebonite Kentucky Classic runner-up the past 2 years, Leanne Barrette. Qualifying 4th, looking for career title number 25, Tish Johnson. In the 3rd position, winless since 1998, Kendra Gaines. Qualifying 2nd in a record-tying 6th straight TV appearance, going for title number 6 this year, Carolyn Dorin-Ballard. And in the top spot again this week, looking for back-to-back victories, Cara Honeychurch. Working with me tonight, a lady who wanted victory herself and just missed the chance, finishing in 9th, Marianne DeRupo. Marianne, Tish Johnson tonight will become the 3rd woman to reach that $1 million plateau, but she wants to do it in her own special way.
Yes. Starting off this week, she needed to finish 24th or better. Once she made the top 24, she was quoted by saying that she would crawl to the line to finish. Crawling isn't enough for Tish. She wants to make a big splash. She wants to be the first lady millionaire to win the same week she surpasses the $1 million mark. And if she can do this, we're going to put an exclamation point on her memory.
Well, another lady trying to create some memories early in her career is our top seed, Cara Honeychurch. See, she led the field by the most in her career this week, 356 pins, and that's giving her a chance at back-to-back titles.
Cara's having a fantastic year. She's made 8 out of 11 shows. When talking to her last night, she suggested that she had a little more area this week. This enabled her to have a loose arm swing, higher pin carry. But you know the most amazing feat? She out-averaged the number 2 qualifier, Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, by over 10 pins per game.
Well, she may need every bit of that 220 average. We'll see in a few minutes. Right now, it's the first match. It'll be Gaines, Johnson, and Barrette. And they're ready for that first match. It looks like Leanne Barrette will start the match. Leanne was our 5th place qualifier, so she had no choice in the matter. She got the position that was left, and they said, you start.
Well, I think she's happy to be here in the first place. The last game last night, Leanne needed to double to even make the TV show against Linda Barnes.
And the strike looked about like that. That was an exciting position round. It was great.
Yes, it was. Linda Barnes ended in the 10th frame first, and she stoned an 8-pin.
Leanne went up to double, but actually not to surpass Linda Barnes for the show. Dee Dee Davidson had shot a big game and got in there. As we get our first look at Kendra Gaines, who was walked into that show going into that position round. She starts with a strike. And Tish Johnson, the newest millionaire. Not the way she wanted to start, a little bit high.
A little high. Looks like she got a little slow, but she could be a little tentative. Her concentration tonight is just to have fun. She has nothing to lose here tonight.
Leanne Barrette qualifying 5th, 208. She only won 11 matches this week, but that's because her opponents averaged 210. Huge average against her compared to the other finalists.
Absolutely. It only took 2 of the top 5 to average above 210 to make the show.
Exactly. Okay, Tish staying clean, good start. Leanne Barrette will attempt to shoot the 3-6-10.
This is not an easy spare. There were several ways girls chose to shoot it this week. Some used their plastic ball, others used a reactive resin. Leanne here chooses her plastic ball and goes straight across the lane.
And it worked for her. What did you choose to do with that spare this week?
Actually, I chose to use my urethane ball because I do not have a plastic ball.
Kendra Gaines, you can see she defeated Tish throughout the week. It was a close match. And that was a close call, almost a 7-10.
That was a good second shot, just pushed a little bit down the lane, got behind the head pin, almost left a 7-10.
Tish quickly up, always a very fast competitor on the lanes.
She doesn't take a whole lot of time. Her routine's pretty simple. She doesn't use a lot of rosin or a towel.
Kendra Gaines changing balls now to shoot the 10-pin.
Routine.
Tish also shooting at a 10-pin, but from the opposite side. And these ladies are pretty tired. It's time for a well-deserved month of leisure. Then in September, the PWBA Tour has 4 weeks in the Sunshine State. Stop number 1 is the Kegel Training Center in Sebring, Florida for the Foundation Games 5, September 1st through the 6th. Then it's on to Davie, Florida, and Don Carter University Lanes for the Paula Carter Classic, Saturday, September 8th through the 13th. The Storm Challenge is next, Saturday, September 15th through the 20th from Coral Lanes in Cape Coral, Florida. Be sure to check the PWBA website, www.pwba.com, for the complete fall tour information. That final stop we talked about is Jacksonville. We will be there the 4th week of September. There's a look at the score as of right now. Leanne Barrette and Kendra Gaines are tied for the lead. Tish Johnson trails by 1 pin. As Leanne steps up in the 3rd frame. A little bit more about that position round. It's always exciting. She crosses over Brooklyn. Kim Adler also almost came from 10th to make that show, shooting a 257. So really an interesting final.
The final game, I think the top 10 were real close. Big games, low games. It could have been very exciting to see what happened.
Oh, push, push, push. She's calling for push.
As you can notice, both Leanne shot and Kendra shot. They got it inside their mark a little bit. There's not a whole lot of hold inside there, which causes the ball to go left very quickly.
That's finished 4th for Leanne. Both of these ladies having trouble getting out of this 3-person shootout match so far this year. Both Leanne and Kendra. Kendra making her 5th show, Leanne her 4th, and they've both been stuck in that match.
Kendra changing balls, going cross lane.
Tish Johnson, we talked about the $1 million, 3rd lady there. Look at that, 24 pro titles and a 2-time Player of the Year. Most consecutive tournaments at 205, 41 300 games. How about that? And that's not, and you can see how upset she is. Leaving the 4-6-10.
She might have made a little of adjustment from the first shot. But as you can see, she slowed her speed up just a little bit. She is using a little more surface than she did most of the week. Good shot. Come on, ball. As you can see, her ball speed's a little slow. She didn't get the ball far enough left like she did the shot prior, and it went right through the face, leaving the 4-6-10.
She took 2 of those pins. Took the 6-10. And that's what she wanted to do at that time, get the most wood she could, as Leanne Barrette now attempts to convert her 10-pin, her 201 average, 208, 210 last year. So she's just down a couple pins on this score condition. She's also been struggling with an injury, Leanne has, with a hip injury.
Her left hip has been very sore for several weeks. It takes her a long time to loosen up. And once she gets loose, she feels more comfortable, but it really affects her approach.
So Kendra Gaines now in the lead by 10 pins. Oh, ball. She asked for some holding. She received that hold.
Tripping the 4.
Just enough hold. Tish letting out a deep breath, trying to relax herself. She won once this year in her only other television appearance this year. So Kendra Gaines is in the lead through 4 frames. We'll be right back with more from Collins Bowling Center, Eastland. Stay with us. And Leanne gets a big break there, crossing over for a double, and that's a 4-bagger. Good time for that.
Absolutely. Puts the pressure on Kendra right now. And Tish is making a little bit of a run also.
That's finished 3rd so far. Kendra had a great match play record. Her best ever this week, 18-6. But not kicking out the 10 here.
See, the difficulty is you needed to put a ball in your hand to roll in the mid part of the lane, to get through the fronts, to roll in the mids, but then kind of continue in the back. So you're asking bowling balls to do something that's unheard of. I mean, you could only make them do 1 or 2 motions, basically. So when you get into the pocket, because they're so deep, the angle is really tricky to kick out the corner pins.
Because the angle of entry is so important for
Absolutely.
Carry. Kendra Gaines now shooting that 10-pin. While Tish Johnson went high, she left it 4-7.
Tish doesn't really use plastic balls. She will use a reactive resin, flatten out her hand, and go cross lane. So
But as long as you can cut down the hook enough with your hand position or wrist position, you know, that's an okay method.
Absolutely, and that comes for many years of experience.
So right now, Leanne Barrette in command in this match. She could strike out for 247 here.
You notice Leanne is using a little bit of shine on the ball. She used shine most of the week, and she used strong layouts in her bowling equipment.
It's interesting since she has such a strong hand anyway, you know, gets so many revolutions. Sometimes you would think she wouldn't use strong equipment.
Well, on this type of pattern, you need strong to get around the corner to read the mid part of the lane. When I say the mid, it's probably where the arrows are to another 15 feet down the lanes.
Well, with that first strike, Leanne actually secured the match, so she will continue on. But first, when we come back, we'll tell you about some of the benefits enjoyed by WIBC members. That includes our members of the Lady Ebonite Kentucky Classic. It'll be Carolyn Dorin-Ballard and Leanne Barrette. 15 titles. Carolyn Dorin-Ballard won her first title in 1991. It took her 10 years to win her first 10 and 10 weeks to win her next 5.
That just shows you the maturity level. She's learning every year and getting better, every year smarter.
And she has been progressing. If you would look at her titles, definitely, yes.
Runner-up bowler of the year says it all for the last few years.
And kicks off the 7th at the last minute to open this match.
Great opening shot.
Well, Leanne Barrette, you accomplished your goal. She made it through that first 3-person shootout.
That was her goal. She's been having trouble doing that. She's been making shows, but that first match has been nipping her in the butt.
Oh, and a nice opening shot, but a 10-pin.
That was a fantastic opening shot. But once again, it's the angle of projection. This week, they went 38 feet, which tells you that the oil pattern is pretty long. She's picking up her plastic ball and shooting cross alley.
It almost looked like there were 3 finger holes in that ball, but it was a weight hole, right, Marianne?
That's kind of a little joke because everybody asks her if she gets confused, but that is just an extra weight hole.
56 bowlers this week, a 197 average to cash, 199 to make match play once again on the WIBC ABC Sport Bowling pattern. Only playing very differently this week. The ladies on the right side all on a deep inside line.
Hold.
And it was enough hole to carry a big strike. Back to that weight hole issue, you're allowed 1 extra weight hole in your ball.
Yes, you are. Actually, you can drill 3 finger holes, a thumb hole, and an extra weight hole.
As long as you're using those holes for gripping purposes, then you can have the extra weight hole also.
Correct.
And that weight hole is to make the balls actually legal.
To make them legal, and where you put the weight hole is also going to determine what the ball does.
Okay. Ooh, and actually a good break, almost a great break, leaving a 6-pin.
It didn't look like she cleared it very well off her hand. Looks like she got it in a little bit. Carolyn picking up her plastic ball to shoot cross alley at her 6-pin. As you can see, she got that ball a little left of what she was probably looking at, causing the ball to go a little high. There is no hold in the middle of the lane this week, Jan. So if you do get it left, or if you thumb it down a little bit, you can see there's no push.
Marion asked Carolyn, as an athlete, if she wants to keep going right now, or does she need a break?
Well, of course I wanted to continue, and hopefully it'll float over to the next swing. But I am looking for a little bit of relaxation. After next week, I'll be going home to New Jersey to spend some time down the shore and spend some time with my family, and I'm really looking forward to getting away from everything and just kind of taking it easy.
So she does need a break as she steps up in the 3rd frame and wants to see her dad, Big G, and wish him well. He's in the hospital, and George, we're all thinking of you. Hope
Yes,
you're
we
doing
are.
well.
It's very hard to come out here with everyday life and everyday problems, and that is on Carolyn's mind. That is her father, and our wish is to get him well fast.
$863,000 for Leanne in career earnings. That puts her 5th on the all-time list.
Oh, jeez.
Not happy with that shot, but will be happy with the result as she crosses over for Brooklyn. We talked about everybody jockeying for position in the final position round game. Here's a look at where 6 through 10 finished up. And actually, Marianne Drupo and Tiffany Stanborough ahead of a couple of these players going into that game, but big games by Dee Davidson and Kim Adler pushed them up to 6th and 7th.
And 12th is Kim Terrell, 4-time Robbie Award winner. And 14th, Kathy Tribby. She took 2 weeks off, came back, finished strong in the 14th position.
Leanne Barrette now in the 4th frame, working on a double. She leads by 10 pins and high again, almost
that pin coming around, tripping the 6th pin. Leanne mentioned earlier that her hip has been giving her problems, which really affects her second step. Her second step, she has a problem putting her weight down on it. I'm not sure if she's having that problem tonight, but you could see she doesn't feel comfortable like she did the first game. She was working with Dell in between while Carolyn and Cara were warming up, so maybe they were working on her footwork a little bit.
And she said that that injury affects her timing and her leverage at the line, so you saw there quickly her strength, that once she's comfortable, she can repeat shots, but that injury was her weakness. As Carolyn Dorin-Ballard leads by 11 pins, so no one will shoot a 300 this game, but Travelodge Hotels has that 300 bonus out there for any player that shoots it on television.
Carolyn, most of the week, used stuff to roll in the mids. Tonight she's using an afterburner. It's a ball that gets down the lane very easily. It's a 2% particle ball, though.
Carolyn making her 6th consecutive TV appearance, and that ties a record. She was actually the last one to do it before 3 other ladies have done it. Lisa Wagner back in '85, Nikki Giannoulias '86, and Carol Giannotti Block in '92.
Going back to the equipment choices, she is using 2% particle, but there's such little particle in it that it does clear the front part of the lane. And being pearlized, Jan, it actually helps it get through the front part of the lane, reads the mids, and gives the continuation in the back that we're looking for, playing that deep angle.
Oh, but no 10-pin carry on that shot.
No, she made a great shot. All week, what she was concentrating on was trying to stay behind the ball. She wanted her hand to stay behind the ball, and as you can see, her hand was in a great position behind the ball to get the ball down the lane.
And she, like most of the players, will change balls to shoot her 10-pin. So Leanne Barrette now has the slight edge, and we'll be back with more of the Lady Ebonite Kentucky Classic right after these messages. By 33 pins, Leanne Barrette has had some incredible pin carry the last couple of shots to give her 4 strikes in a row. Carolyn, meanwhile, struggling, now leaving the 3-10. Leanne carried actually a Brooklyn nosedive type strike.
Well, when you're bowling one-game matches, Jan, every break helps. I know that's not what Leanne's trying to do, but as you can see, this shot is extremely difficult. You cannot ease up on your ball speed, and you cannot cut it short because the ball will go left immediately for right-handers. Carolyn actually got a bad break in the 7th frame. She made a great shot and left a high 4-7 count.
There's a look at the score we're talking about. 8th frame, 7th frame was where Leanne carried that strike. 8th frame had a lot of mix on the pins also. So Carolyn Dorin-Ballard has talked about how things have been going her way. Well, maybe not quite going her way this week.
As you can see, Carolyn using a plastic ball shoot 310 spare, and that's not an easy spare, but she makes them look very easy.
Problems with that shot.
Just looked like she got fast with her feet. That's one of the things that she concentrates on, is making sure that her feet stay in slow steps and small steps. It just looks like she got a little fast and the ball just kind of came off her hand. Early timing. This is an extremely difficult spare. She'll shoot it like she shoots her strike shot. The 1-2-5-9. Great spare.
You're right, she does make those spares pretty easy, doesn't she? Well, most of the pros do, though. I mean, they're very talented at not only strikes, but spares.
Spares are extremely important. On the sport condition, they are very difficult, going cross lane, up the lane at them. Because there's a 2-to-1 ratio in oil to dry to friction, it's very difficult to shoot spares.
Leanne Barrette in the 9th frame, and a little bit of trouble there. 3, 6, 7, 10.
From her previous shots, you can see that she got the ball further left than she wanted to. She's trying to get the ball past 15 down the lane and play the rollout. With Leanne's game, she does have a tendency of leaving a lot of what I call funky splits, and she does convert quite a few of them as well. And she made a run into that one, too.
Only taking 2 pins. I've heard it described as artwork. And many other things.
Artwork would be one of the top 2.
So Leanne Barrette now still in the lead by 21 pins. She has 201 in the 9th frame. Best Carolyn Dorin-Ballard could shoot would be 210, so Leanne Barrette will need a mark here to close out Carolyn Dorin-Ballard. If she would get 9, we could have a tie.
Only converting 2 was very big.
It was big. Huge. Help is right, and she got some help there, leaving just the 2 pin. Could have been 210 or something worse.
Could have been 210 very easy on this.
So Carolyn just looking down. Leanne Barrette will need to convert this 2 pin.
As you notice, Leanne picks up her first shot bowling ball to shoot this. She'll make an adjustment. She'll probably move her feet a few boards right and shoot it just like she shoots her strike shot.
Well, Leanne Barrette survives. When we come back, we'll recap the matches, plus provide some inside information from a player and a scholar.
Carolyn, 10 out of 11 shows going for title number 6. Give us some insight into what you feel is your reason for success.
There are a few factors I think I've bowled well. I took a little time off over the break. I changed up my practice routine a little bit, and definitely I was a lot more mentally fresh when I came out. I also believe that the sport condition has really been a benefit to me because I'm not a power player. My game is very simple. I've been able to keep the ball in play, make my spares, and honestly, with the scores being as low as they are, it's really been a benefit to me.
Well, Del, I know that you're a big part of Carolyn's career and her success, probably. What do you feel are the keys to her recent success?
In my opinion is she knows her equipment well enough to make her own decisions. We have a product line from A to Z, and we have very good balls, and she knows what each one of those balls do. And she's quick with her decisions. Say 4 or 5 years ago, it would take her 4 or 5 frames to make that decision. Now she's doing it right at the flick of a hat. I mean, just right then. And she's very sharp. She's been making her spares, keeping the ball in play, and like she said, she's mentally fresh. And that's just wonderful.
Well, Carolyn, it's got to be an issue with a husband being the representative out here. You are one of 7 Ebonite staff members out here, as well as the other touring members. Is there a conflict for you?
Well, we discussed that before he took the job with Ebonite. I've been on the pro staff for 8 years, and I don't believe there is. We kind of came to the decision that I would do my own thing out here. If I really need help, I usually go and find him, but basically, I've always had confidence in my game. I bowled out here long before Del was the Ebonite rep. So I've always had that confidence factor in my equipment and in myself. So I really don't think there is a conflict. The only thing I do think at times I feel a little deprived is I feel sometimes when I do some great things out here, I'd rather him be my husband at times, plain and simply, than be working for somebody else. And that kind of has hurt my feelings every now and then, but we've worked through it, and you know, it's been a very good working relationship, and he's really taught me a lot about what I need to be doing out here and what I need to be focusing on. And like he said, Ebonite's been a great company to work for, and they've got great equipment, and that's really helped us together.
Well, be honest, Del. Are you able to keep it separate?
Absolutely. We discussed her little game plan that she's going to have before the swing even starts. We talk about whenever the lanes do this, is what you do. And it allows me to spend more time with everybody else on staff. And I don't have to pay more attention to her than anybody else, and I don't put myself in that position. And I like, honestly, it's a fresh thing for me to spend more time with other people than with her. And I have the utmost confidence in her decisions and what she's doing.
Well, thanks very much for addressing a very difficult issue.
So far tonight in match one, Leanne Barrette finally gets past the three-person shootout by posting a score of 236 to Gaines' 204. And Johnson's 189. In match two, Leanne Barrette continues her winning ways, defeating the hottest player on tour, Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, 219 to 209. Coming up next, you'll see two of those Ebonite staff members Del talked about. Leanne Barrette will try to stop Cara Honeychurch from taking back-to-back victories. Welcome back to Lexington, Kentucky, home of the Keeneland Racetrack, considered by many to be the most beautiful racetrack in the world. And this may be considered by many to be one of the most beautiful trophies ever presented. It will go to either Leanne Barrette or Cara Honeychurch. Leanne Barrette has not had a good track record the last couple of years in this championship match. She's been second the last 2 years, shooting scores of only 173 and 170. So I think she'll have to step it up a level tonight. Ten-pin to start, but a good shot. Take some time and be careful on the spare to start the match. Leanne Barrette, actually successful in Ebonite events. She won the Lady Ebonite event in 1991 in Columbia, Tennessee, and then in 89 in Atlanta, Georgia. This event has traveled across the country and now alternates between Lexington and Louisville, Kentucky.
Right.
Cara Honeychurch looking for back-to-back titles. She had the opportunity once before. Marianne, it was last year in North Myrtle Beach after winning the Brunswick Women's World Open. She had a chance to win again.
Right, this is her 8th show out of 11 weeks, and last year she made a total of 9 shows. So that just goes to show you how well she is bowling.
Big opening shot. Some of the other finishers this week, Lisa Wagner finished up in 17th. With those 32 career titles. Amy Dillon, her second top 24. And there's Kathy Dorn, Lizzie, and Brenda Norman. You saw them on last week's show.
Kelly Kulik and Diana Caracas both graduated from Moorhead State.
Several college graduates out on tour that actually bowled in college. This week we had 15 ladies that came through the college ranks in bowling that bowled this event. And
there was a lot of representatives from Moorhead State because it is close. So they had a good following here, Diana and Kelly.
And just like the right side, the left side leaving some 7 pins.
It looks like Cara's using the TPS-3. It's a weak particle ball as well. And she said that she used it most of the week. It's a great shot. She said that she's never gotten farther left than 8. And as you can see, her laydown point was probably about 13, 14, getting the ball down to 8. Picking up her plastic ball across the galley, shooting a 7-pin.
So these two ladies, as I mentioned, two of the ladies on the Ebonite staff that Del talked about, obviously very successful. Cara having a wonderful year, actually a bowler of the year type year. So maybe it is not a factor having Carolyn being the spouse, that obviously he's able to dedicate enough time to these ladies, as well as Kim Torella, Lita Sill, Michelle Feldman, and Laura Lee Daniel, the other staff members.
Well, I think they've said it all in their interviews. It's not just because Dale's out here, even though it's a contributing factor. Ebonite has a complete line of bowling equipment that complement each other. So if you know the steps that the bowling equipment falls into, it makes your decisions a lot quicker and a lot faster.
That's a hard thing to learn, the equipment, from all the companies, or any company, Marianne, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a pro and a con. It's good to be a part of a staff because you're isolated, but yeah, it can be a con because you're like a kid in a candy store. You see new bowling balls come out, you want to try it, you want to see what it does in comparison to what you're already throwing.
Leanne coming up high on that shot, leaving the 3-6.
This lane has been hooking a little bit more than the right lane. As you can see, cut a little bit short. She is a lot deeper than she has been the prior matches. She's just trying to find a little bit of push down the lane, and unfortunately, there's not a whole lot. With offense oil, the front part of the lane seems to dissipate very quickly.
She covers up the spare, and we talked about Cara's success this year. She knows nothing about a sophomore jinx. She was the 2000 Rookie of the Year, and her award was presented earlier today by John Falzone, the president of the PWBA. And by far the strongest performance by any rookie in their sophomore year to date.
It's going to be very hard to beat that Rookie of the Year statistic.
Cara now up in the third frame. Once again, no one this match will shoot that 300, so Travelodge's $50,000 bonus will carry over to next week.
On her off time, she made some game changes. She's trying to stay more behind the ball, more up the back of the ball, to take the front part of the lane out of play, and that's been helping her on this sport condition. She can play parts of the lane that other left-handers have a problem playing week in and week out.
She wanted to thank Kegel Training Center for all their work with her. That's where she does her training, and obviously very pleased with the results. She's finished first twice so far this year. She leads now by 10 pins, working on a strike. She's in the fourth frame. Big double. And there have been a lot of past champions to this event. Several of them on this show. You can see Leanne Barrette won twice before, as I mentioned. Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, Tish Johnson. Marianne, you're on there, 1993.
That was fun. Long time ago, but a lot of fun.
So as I said, this event has traveled across the country and now settled into a home in Kentucky between Louisville and Lexington. Leanne Barrette going up high, almost getting a break, but 3-6 again.
Leanne's almost sliding in the left-hand gutter. It's very difficult to get the ball down the lane when you have no oil. It's all friction in the front part of the lane. If Leanne Barrette's having a hard time getting the ball down the lane, it just goes to show you how difficult it is because of the lack of oil. Leanne's game has a tendency of making the ball get down the lane very easy. She is using a new Ebonite ball that is out. It's called the Savage. It's kind of like a replica of the Turbo X, which actually gets down the lane. Simple.
And still having problems. So on the right lane, Marianne, how much does the ball return come into play for the ladies when you get that deep?
Well, when you're starting off a tournament and you're standing 33, 34, 35, 36, it does have an important factor with that. There are some girls that can stand in front of it, and there are some girls that walk around it.
Trips off the 4-pin, but Cara Honeychurch has the lead. Don't you go anywhere. The final shots for the title are still to come. Disaster struck for both players. Cara Honeychurch, a 3-6-5-9-10. The bucket plus the 10-pin. She missed that spare, and then a 4-6-10 big split. Leanne stepped up and washed out. So Leanne Barrette now in the lead in the 7th frame by 8 pins. Both players working on an open frame, and another break for Leanne Barrette.
Another big break. That's what it takes when you're talking one-game matches. Leanne keeps moving left, but she's having a problem getting the ball down the lane. It's just checking up real high. There's not a whole lot of oil. There's not a whole lot of carry down. Went through the face, and the 6-pin went right into the 10-pin.
Career TV average for Cara, 215. And a good shot now, leaving a 7-pin. Now the left side not playing as deep as the right side because they don't have as much play. But tonight I thought I might seem a little more equal.
Well, I think it's unusual because there were a bunch of left-handers on the show, and there are right-handers. But as you can see, most of the right-handers came out with a surface to start off with, and then they went to shine. Generally, all week, the right-handers were deeper than the left-handers.
Cara converts the spare. We talked about how Cara actually out-averaged Carolyn by 10 pins this week, but overall, Carolyn Dorin-Ballard in the lead for the year with a 216 average by 3 pins over Cara Honeychurch. Liz Johnson, Wendy McPherson, Kim Adler rounding out the top 5, and again, those averages on the sport bowling patterns.
Extremely high averages for the condition that is laid down there every week.
Cara Honeychurch now trailing by 18 pins. Marianne, Cara talked to us also about her conditioning over the break and how much she thinks that has helped her in this long swing.
She feels like it's helped her in the duration of the swing. Because we've been out here for 11 weeks and we're going to add one more week onto that, the fitness perspective has helped her in the longevity of it.
Career titles, Lisa Wagner, 32. Leanne Barrette, 21, 5th on the list. Tish Johnson was trying to get up to that 25 marker that Patty Costello has. All these ladies active except for Patty Costello, so those numbers could still change. And again,
Tripping the 6 pin. Leanne sliding in the left-hand gutter, trying to get the ball down the lane. Her ball speed has increased, but about 45 to 50 feet down the lane, the ball wants to go left real quick.
And you wonder, obviously I can see that, I just don't know if her hip is bothering her at all, because she had said she wasn't getting push on that on her second step.
Well, Jan, the problem all week is you had to go pretty direct. She cannot free hook it to the right because there is oil there. And if she hits the oil, what's going to happen is it's very easy to go 3 count or throw a gutter ball.
Well, that was a beauty, and she sure took advantage of a couple of big breaks. Cara Honeychurch looking over to see, okay, what's the score right now? And the score is that Leanne Barrette is in the lead by 18 pins. Best Cara Honeychurch could shoot would be 208 at this point. 226 max score for Leanne Barrette. Big shot, mud strike here.
Correct. One of the things that Cara worked on all week was varying her ball speed.
And that 7 pin does not want to go down even from a little bit different angle of entry.
From the 5th frame where she went bucket, the last 2 frames on lane 18, she slowed her ball speed down just a tad bit to get the ball to read a little bit earlier. And unfortunately, she got a bad break and left the 7 pin.
Well, that was huge, because now the best Cara Honeychurch could shoot would be 188. Meanwhile, Leanne Barrette could still strike out in the 10th for 226. Leanne is really just going to need some pins on that shot.
Stay behind the foul line.
And she had to strike out to force Leanne Barrette to really post an appearance in the 10th frame. So Cara can spare up and strike for a 177 game. And the situation's a little reversed for Leanne this year. It's her opponent shooting the 170 score.
Cara was fantastic all week. She made the condition look very simple.
Cara told us she never thought that she'd get close to 8 shows in this swing in her wildest dreams. So she's having some pretty bad dreams right now. It is Leanne Barrette who captures her first title this year at the Lady Ebonite Kentucky Classic. Stay with us. We'll be back to talk with her.
Being brought to you by the Women's International Women's Bowling Association. And how does a champion react right after winning? She reacts very graciously when she's a former Robbie Award recipient. Leanne Barrette, the champion of the Lady Ebonite Kentucky Classic. Final score 204-177. And in with the check, Pat Collins, the owner here at Collins Bowling Center, Eastland.
Leanne, congratulations on a terrific tournament. And on behalf of our entire staff here at Collins Bowling Centers and all the great fans and volunteers here from Lexington, Kentucky, it's my privilege to present to you this check for $11,000.
And of course, I know you're waiting for this one-of-a-kind trophy. Bob Reed, the Vice President of Marketing, Ebonite International.
Leanne, 2 weeks ago, you told me that I was going to be giving this trophy to you tonight. You bowled through 4 great bowlers, including 2 teammates, to do it. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. I would like to thank Pat and everybody here at Collins Bowling Center. All the fans were great. Everybody was cheering me on last night. And I'd like to thank Miller and Travelodge and Bob. And I would like to congratulate Cara and Carolyn, Kendra and Tish for having a good week. Tish had a big milestone this week. Cara and Carolyn bowled great. I don't know what to say.
Hey, Mary Ann's in here with a question for you.
Well, when you were done bowling, you said something about having a horseshoe in your pocket. How do you feel about that?
Everybody take their 4-leaf clovers out of their pocket. I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of, I really, really wanted to win this tournament. For the last 2 years, I finished second. I take a lot of pride in my Ebonite tournaments, and I like to have a good showing. And I really wanted to bowl well, and I had some injuries, and I had a lot of good signs this week, like things were sometimes go my way, or I'd have more chances, and it continued last night, and I'm sure that all of you realized how lucky I was tonight. So,
You said something about the trophy early on in the week. What's the story there?
well, 2 years ago when we bowled here, I was top seed, and Bob went out and bought the trophy, and he said, "I bought your trophy today, and I want to give it to you." And I wasn't fortunate enough to win that tournament, so I called him a couple weeks ago. I said, "Did you buy my trophy yet?" You know, he started it, not me.
Well, it's a beautiful trophy. Mary Ann, anything else for Leanne?
Yeah, Leanne, you've been talking about problems with your hip. Do you feel any pain right now?
No. Carolyn gave me some Motrin, so I felt okay. I just, you know, I was really nervous, like I hadn't done this in a while, so I just tried to focus, and I don't know, I think it was just meant to be, so.
Well, congratulations again, Leanne Barrette. She wins her 22nd career title and her 3rd Lady Ebonite win. Tune in next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for the final stop on the Spring-Summer Tour, the Clever Girl Greater Terre Haute Open from Terre Haute Bowling Center in Terre Haute, Indiana, as Carol Giannotti attempts to defend her title. For Mary Ann DeRupo, I'm Jan Schmidt. We hope you enjoyed the Lady Ebonite Kentucky Classic. So long from Lexington, Kentucky. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.